believe Jerry had, nothing to do with Poe's kneeling. It was just about his weight, that his release had nothing to do with the kneeling.
Skip, I think the kneeling issue got the relationship off to a rocky start, because Terry Poe says, I'm kneeling. I don't care what the policy is. I'm kneeling. And I think that rubbed Jerry, because we know what Jerry's stance was on the anthem. Toes on the line, helmet in the left arm, hand over heart. That's what Jerry wanted. Terry Poe
from the start.
From the start.
Yeah, it did seem to mellow during the training camp.
Well, I think the thing is, but Terry Poe was matter of fact with his.
He
thing.
was.
Skip, look. What Jerry is trying to do, and I get it, Skip. Jerry's trying to send a message, but he's trying to send a message through guys that aren't identified as Cowboys. Clinton Dix, he cut him. He wasn't a Cowboy. Terry Poe, he's not a Cowboy. Worley, he's not a Cowboy. Trade Everson Griffin, he's not a Cowboy. If you want to send a message, the D. Laws, the Jalen Smith, the Vander Esches, those are guys that are identified. The Zeke Elliott's, those are guys that are identified as Cowboys. Skip, look, it's hard. I played 14 years, and I know guys that were overweight, but they were producing, and coach never said a thing about their weight.
Totally agree.
Now, I've seen situations where guys were underweight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And guys, we losing. Well, son, you got to do better. You got to do better.
Totally agree.
This is what this is about. Now, he made it, Terry Poe is low-hanging fruit. He made it very easy. Now, Jerry says he's 30, 40 pounds. Now, they list the guy at 340. And looking at his contract, Skip, from what I was reading in the paper, they had weight clauses in his contract. Well, if you got to put that kind of stuff in the contract, you already know. Just go ahead and let it go. Skip, the man he was 340 at 21, 22. So what you think, he going to lose weight as he gets older? Mm. And remember I told you, Skip, I said, Skip, I'm really not seeing I am not seeing Terry Poe. Now they talk about, well, he wasn't rushing. Skip, he's not a pass rusher. Mm. Guys that size don't rush the quarterback. They eat up space. And granted, when you're running the ball, but it's hard for me to believe that they're just running the ball right over where Terry Poe's supposed to be. I see them toss it left, toss it right. They go in the A gap, the B gap, the C gap. They're getting whatever they want. So, Jerry, but I want to know, Skip, let me ask you this. You've been around the game 40 years. Let's just say a general manager signs these guys, and one guy that he gave $4 million to doesn't even make it to training camp. Another guy he's traded during the season, and you release two guys.
Fire him. At least put him on the hot seat.
Skip, Bill Polian lost his job because he didn't get an adequate backup.
You're saying Jerry is the GM. Yes, thank you.
So the owner
I agree.
never going to find a general manager because that's him.
Correct.
Jerry, you made these. All you went for names. Because, Skip, you can bring it up a lot. Oh, Pro Bowl. But these guys, Terry Poe is a long time removed from the Pro Bowl. Gerald McCoy is a long time removed from the Pro Bowl. Clinton Dix is a long time removed. And I told you, I said, Skip, Everson Griffin, yeah, he went to the Pro Bowl, but the guy was available in August. That should give you a little indication right there. Jerry, you brought all these guys on. This is on your watch. This happened to you. This don't send a message because none of these guys are identified as Cowboys. Mm-hmm. They were on the Cowboy team, but they're not identifiable Cowboys. Mm.
Okay, I hear everything you just said, but I have a different perspective on this. I have been trying to explain this to you for several days, and now I have ample proof of my theory. Jerry Jones is in an all-out rebuild on the fly here. Jerry Jones is trying to save the two coaches that he hired. He's trying to prop them up by getting rid of all the naysayers in the locker room. All these negative quotes that Jane Slater had, they're all coming from the defensive side of the ball. And I believe most of them are emanating from veteran free agents that Jerry Jones brought to the Cowboys this year. Why was I so ecstatic about my new improved defense going into this year? Why? Clinton Dix did make a Pro Bowl. It was back in 2016, but he knows Mike McCarthy because he played for Mike McCarthy, and I thought at least we'll have some stability at one of the safety spots. Okay. At least you'll have one guy out there who actually knows how to play safety. He may not have, he's only 27, but he may not have the ability to make Earl Thomas kind of plays, but at least he will provide some semblance of credibility at safety that we no longer have.
Right.
He was whacked before the year started. And I was like, huh? Huh? He's gone? Okay, I'm going to go right down the line. Everson Griffin, he's made 4 Pro Bowls, including one last year for the Vikings. The Lions wanted him because he has bedeviled the Lions.
Right.
He has, what is it, 16 sacks in 19 games. It's pretty good. All of a sudden, Everson Griffin isn't cut. He's traded to the Lions. Right. DT Poe, you brought him up. He has made 2 Pro Bowls in his past, but they were long ago, 13 and 14. But he was brought in to stuff the run. Stop it. Space eat. All you need to do is anchor the defensive front.
Right.
Gerald McCoy was also brought in to do similar. Those are going to be the 2 new tackles.
Right.
DT Poe weighs 340 pounds. He's always weighed 340 pounds, and I get the weight clauses, but if we go back to Vince Wilfork, who anchored the Patriots defense, he's just gigantic. He's 350.
Right.
Snacks Harrison, you remember, he anchored a bunch of defensive lines.
Big Ted Washington.
Oh, Big Teddy. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I played with Teddy.
I know. Just a huge human being. We saw Vita Vea that now he's hurt, but the Bucs are trying to replace him. He's 350.
Right.
It's just run stuffing because you almost need to be fat to do that job.
Yes.
But you have to be in shape enough to be able to last for 4 quarters. And maybe he wasn't, but I'm with you. The anthem had little to nothing to do with it. In fact, I think Jerry enjoyed the question, and his response was, I understand your question, and I'm deliberately not going to answer it about the anthem because he's saying this is just a football issue. This is a weight issue. He liked that the anthem got brought up because he'd like people to say, oh, maybe it's just about the anthem for Jerry. It still sticks in his craw, and maybe it does a little bit. But right now what sticks in his craw is they are the worst defense in the history of the franchise, and they are dead last stopping the run.
They're 2 and 4, 2 and 5.
5.
Okay, 2 and 5. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they're 5 and 2. And DT Poe weighs 370. Is he released? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay, let me continue down the list. Brandon Carr, they brought him in, they put him on the practice squad first, but they were transitioning him to safety. Now, he never made a Pro Bowl, but would you believe, this is an amazing stat to me. Do you remember his rookie year was 2008?
Yeah.
Since then, since the first game he ever played in the National Football League, he'd started every game he'd ever played for every team he was on, including last year's Ravens, who had the 3rd best in points allowed defense, and they went 14 and 2. Okay? Started all 16 games for the Ravens, so he had 192 straight starts. Is that credible?
Yeah.
Sure it is. I told you that a source very close to the team told me last week he openly clashed with Mike Nolan over the scheme that he was trying to institute. That it's like, what? And because he openly defied him in front of other players, he got cut before the season started. He was going to be another credible safety. I'm not saying he's a great player, but at least you have credibility.
Well, but the thing is, Skip, when you new on the job, when you got a new system, you got to get rid of those bad apples.
Okay,
so he had to go.
I got it. But I'm saying all these guys, I think, were becoming bad apples. They're all newcomers who are saying, what the hell are you doing?
That are vets.
Yeah, right? All of them vets, including Daryl Worley. Now, I get you. Number 28, every time I looked up, he was chasing somebody, right?
Yep.
I'm with you, but he was a 3rd-round pick in 2016 for the Carolina Panthers out of West Virginia, and he started 11 games his rookie year, 14 his next year, and then for the Ravens, 9 games his first year at the Ravens, and then 15 last year. He has credibility in the league, and he comes in, and I'm pretty sure he was bucking the system, saying, I don't get it. I don't understand what you're asking us to do when you're asking us to do it, and clearly he was just lost half the time. Okay, the one X factor here was Gerald McCoy. I love Gerald McCoy. Maybe a little bit on the downside of his career. 6 Pro Bowls, the last was in 2017, so to your point. But would he have brought some leadership, and again, I use the word credibility, to the defensive front? Sure he would have, and he tore his quadriceps and was gone for the year, and he was released on an injury waiver, okay? That's it. I just named a whole bunch of players that I thought were going to give me some bedrock, you know, some new foundation on defense of players who have been there and done it before.
But see, Skip, you doing this from where we stand is one thing. Jerry Jones, what does the tape say? If you bringing these guys in, you get an opportunity to look at tape. If you watch the tape, clearly they're not the same guys that they were.
I'm going beyond that. I'm going to mutiny. I'm going to open rebellion, and I'm going to a Jerry Jones who just threw up his hands after watching 38-10 Monday Nightmare, and then losing to your arch rival in a game in which you were not competitive from the first drive of the game. He's just saying, I'm playing for Trevor Lawrence. I believe he's playing for Trevor Lawrence. I believe they are in full-on, all-out rebuild, or if you want to use a cowboy term, reboot, as in cowboy boot. So call it a reboot. Do you realize that a lot of the websites, including Fox Bet earlier this morning, had the Cowboys as a 9.5-point underdog at Philly, albeit we don't know if Andy Dalton's going to play or not, but it has come to this. You're a 9.5-point underdog. They have been lifeless the whole year. They have fallen woefully, impossibly, hopelessly behind every game, including against the Giants. They're down 17-3 at home to the Giants in the second quarter. What does that tell you? Quit, quit, quit. Jerry's just saying, he is just sending everybody out because he wants to go young, and he doesn't care if he loses every game left on this schedule. And I want you to show me a game they're going to win, because I don't see it.
It's going to be clear. They'll sneak up on somebody, Skip. But see, Skip, Jerry is the guy. He's the type of person that goes out and buys designer because it's designer, even though it doesn't go with the outfit or the ensemble that he's wearing. He'll get a designer pair of shoes, even though it doesn't match what he's supposed to be wearing.
I don't think Jerry has any fashion sense whatsoever.
But so he's getting these named players, even though they don't necessarily match what they're trying to do defensively. But they got a name. If I call it name, he got DT Poe. Oh, he got Ha-Ha Clinton. He got Everson Griffin. The name, people. Jeremy, those names. So those names resonate. So Jerry's just, okay, he got a name. But do they match what you're trying to do defensively? Well, if you're trying to play a 3-4, Everson Griffin is a 4-3 defensive end. DT Poe